Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Shiro Spotlight. I'm really excited to have this person as my guest today. She's actually one of my co-writers, and we haven't seen each other in a while. And so I'm really glad to see her beautiful face today. But I want to tell you a little bit about her because she's achieved some things that are just amazing. First of all, she is or was a rugby coach. I mean, once you learn how to play rugby and you coach people, how could you ever stop? But that's amazing in itself. And then the more amazing thing about that is that she was also one of the stars of the X Factor USA, Simon Cowell's X Factor, as she stunned people with this amazing version of Stop in the Name of Love. It's this really soulful rendition. You are going to have to go onto YouTube and watch her audition because it's really unique. Well, anyway, she would go on to tour nationally with Paula Abdul's management, and she then relocated from Buffalo, New York, where she's from, to Nashville to pursue a music career. But in 2017, she got this ridiculous opportunity to go on her first international tour, and she went over to Europe and places some of us have never been. That is so cool. I love travel. To promote her EP called I Am, as she co-wrote, self-produced, and recorded in Nashville and in Muscle Shoals. There's a little magic in that place down there. So I know there's some of that soul sprinkled on her there. And the tour consisted of 10 countries in 3 separate locations. She was performing with people like Reba McEntire, Maren Morris, and Cassidy Pope. So after she performed on this tour, it was a BBC radio tour, and she had multiple label meetings across the US and UK. She came back to Nashville to regroup, and she's going to be working on a new record that she's going to be releasing, a 10 catalog record in 2021 called Where You Began. And that song, Where You began streaming just recently, just like a few days ago, actually, on all the platforms. So you can go and check it out. Also, I have to mention, because this is an amazing feat. I mean, it's enough with the rugby, right, people? But it's an amazing feat that she has had millions of views on YouTube with a song called Creep. It's a cover. And also over 2 million on Simple Man, which is a Leonard Skinner song. So 7 million views of these cover songs. You've got to go check them out. I love them both, but the Simple Man cover I love because I'm a big Skinner fan. So anyway, please, without further ado, welcome to the Shiro Spotlight, Caitlin Koch.
Hello,
so welcome.
Kirsti.
Welcome. And I forgot to say that you're like a retro soul artist. Your style is really unique, and I just love your voice. And that's what's a fun thing about writing with you is that I get to hear you sing.
Oh my goodness. It's flattering me. I'm going to blush.
Well, yeah, you can take it.
You
can take it. You're welcome. So I'm really interested in your experience on the X Factor. And I wanted to know, I mean, there's a lot of people, I know some of these things about you, but I wanted you to share some of this with our listeners. What was your biggest takeaway from your X Factor experience?
Yeah, Kirsti, it was really such a blessing for me. Honestly, I would say that my biggest takeaway was just how many talented people there are in the world.
I know.
Oh, it was incredible. I mean, and just very uniquely talented people. It was so eye-opening. I mean, I'll never forget this one time we were at the stage of the competition, boot camp week, and they basically, the show X Factor, they showcase this really, really competitive week where all contestants go to Pasadena, California, and they just have like auditions day after day after day after day. And you have to just like be prepared the entire time. And there's very little sleep, stuff like that. Anyway, there was this one day where, there may be like a couple hundred of us, maybe 100 of us left in the competition, and the cameras weren't rolling. And we were all just like sandwiched into this little room on top of this theater. And someone, a small group of the singers started like just broke out into this hymn, like a spiritual.
Oh, how neat.
I'm not kidding. And And all of us were just like, and then all of a sudden, like next thing you know, like the whole room is just roaring with sound. I mean, hand claps, stomps were percussion. Like we were just losing it. And it was really before, it was like right before iPhones and like, you know, smartphones became like a thing. So I had like my little brick, like rugby phone. It was called a rugby phone, like no joke. And like, I could like put it in water and stuff, you know, and like I had this, I just took a video, like you can't even like see the visual on it. That's how old this phone is. But like, it was just such an incredible experience. So honestly, like that was one thing that was just so eye-opening for me was, you know, people are really blessed in this industry and to like, for it to be more of a community and a network than a competitive thing was really, really like impactful, I think.
Well, I think that's interesting you say that, because I've always thought that when I watch talent shows and when I've been judging at talent events, how people get a community and a camaraderie, and how hard it is when someone leaves or doesn't make it or whatever. And it's like heartbreaking because, you know, everybody's kind of in that whole thing together. And it almost, to me, they don't ever seem competitive. I mean, I think it's like the show format asks for it to be that way, but it's almost like the people that are in it really aren't. They're just up there doing their thing. And I agree with you too. I always say to my sister, it's unbelievable the talented people there are in the world just walking around.
Yeah, I know.
You know,
I know.
and they just break in a song or something. But that is so moving to be in a room where all that juice is happening. People are singing and expressing themselves that way. That is a moving thing. I would have been bawling, I'm sure, if I would have been in that room.
It was
so
unbelievable.
Neat.
Yeah.
That's really
really
cool.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
So what is it about Nashville that inspires you as an artist? What is it about Nashville that you really dig?
Oh, I think honestly, like to kind of as an offshoot of that is Nashville, despite, you know, the industry here, it's an industry-based city. You have so many opportunities, but opportunity creates competition, you know?
Yeah.
And I think what I've really found amidst my fellow artists, my songwriters, fellow songwriters, my, you know, bandmates, musicians in the area, is that, you know, people are willing to help one another. And like, you know, I just had a fellow bandmate refer me to an agency for a job, you know, like it's just stuff like that. Like, you know, you just make one friend at a time and all of a sudden you're a part of this really grand network.
Yeah.
And unique, you know, creative community. I have found that to be so refreshing and encouraging being here.
Yeah, that is really true. Or people are really supportive. I think a lot of that has to do with because so many people write songs, and there's something very grounding about writing songs. You know what I mean? Because you're really sharing your heart. And I think too that I learned this from acting, from going to acting auditions. You know, you can go to an audition and, you know, you get called in because maybe they want people with, you know, brown hair. And so everybody is in the room with brown hair. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you have brown hair or not. If you're not really the person for that part, you know, if they don't think you're right, you're not going to get it. So I just always think it's good to share your information with people, because you can't always count on the fact that you're going to be the right one to get the part. And so, and when you give somebody something, you know, you get all these things back anyway. I just think it makes you feel good, you know, when you can pass around your information and your knowledge and stuff. I love that. And I think Nashville's that way, you know?
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, I don't know many other communities like it, you know, and maybe that's just my experience, but I find it like really unique, actually.
Yeah.
I do.
So when you were traveling to the 10 different countries and you did that BBC tour, and was there anywhere else in the world that you went that you thought, wow, this would be a really cool place to make art?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I love being on tour. Just first and foremost, I love performing in new cities. I love the experience of being in new cities and meeting people that are new, who also like don't speak the same language as you do.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you know, music is really, can be such a blessing in that it brings you together with people you never would know otherwise. But as a home base, I love Nashville. The music scene, the community, the network, reminds me a lot of where I grew up, in Buffalo, New York, because
Oh, really?
they have a very rich music scene that doesn't, always get a spotlight, but I grew up there and just learned from some of the most talented, down to earth people, I've ever met. So, and I think that Nashville reminds me of my home. So I think that's why I like it here so much. Yeah.
That's nice. Well, I've always thought when I've been to New York State, I've always thought that it had a really cool community vibe, and artists that I've met from New York State that have come here to work with us, or I've met in Nashville, they have like that kind of community vibe to them. That's funny that you say that, because I've thought that when I've been there and met artists from New York. It's kind of like a community thing, where the bands are helping each other and the singers, and that's cool.
Yeah.
That's nice.
And I feel that way. Yeah. I loved it. I was blessed where I grew up, and I feel like really blessed to be here too. And I find similarities, between the two. So
yeah. Well, that makes you, feel like you're home. It's welcoming here then too. That's cool, to not be homesick. I know we all get a little bit homesick for like the food in our hometown or our parents or whatever it is,
Buffalo pizza. Sweet
Please,
Lord.
are you kidding me? I know. It's like the pizza in Youngstown, Ohio. We're real close to New York. And it's so funny, Caitlin, because when I first moved here, people used to ask me if I got these two places, New York or New Jersey. I'm like, no, I'm not from New Jersey or New York.
I could hear it. I could hear like why they would think that, but maybe because we're so close to Ohio.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Cleveland's 3 hours from where I grew up. So I mean, maybe because of that, like I can recognize, but I could see that.
Yeah.
People always think I'm from the Midwest.
Isn't that funny? Well, because you kind of got an accent that's kind of Midwesty a little bit, a little Clevelandy or something, or Chicago-y, some words you say.
We could call it lake effect.
It's a lake effect. That's it. I like it. That's so now, what in the heck with this rugby coach thing? How did rugby help you, and what did it teach you about being a singer? I mean, other than being in great shape.
Yeah, I think sports in general, like any sort of athletics, really, they ground you at a young age, perseverance, endurance, ambition, stuff like that, kind of like you get knocked down, what is that saying? Fall down 7 times, stand up 8 sort of situation. Like I think that those kinds of like qualities are really instilled in you when you're an athlete. But what's really specific about rugby is the culture behind it, which, the whole sport is based off of sportsmanship. So, I mean, obviously it's very physically demanding. It's super competitive. It's an 80-minute game. You get a 5-minute halftime. I mean, it's really, really competitive. Yeah. Super physical, full contact, all of it. But at the end of every match, both teams get together and they have what they refer to as a social, where, like a lot of drinking happens, but they play games. Yeah, they get to know each other. And like, it's this like very, I think, fundamental, underlying kind of thing where, a game is a game and people are still people. And it brings you together with your competitors, like on a human sort of basis. And I don't know, like that's huge. I think in any industry, I think just in life, so I really do. I love that sense of camaraderie, like despite it being like maybe a competitive atmosphere.
Yeah, that's really neat. I didn't know that about rugby. I don't know much about that sport, but I do know that you're one of the more in shape people I ever met. And so
once upon a time, maybe Kirsti, maybe not right now. But
well, I don't know.
Once upon a time.
I don't know about that. I mean, how could you ever lose that internally? But I know you're inspiring to a lot of young people that that found out you were a rugby coach, before then they heard you open your mouth to sing, which is so amazing too. So I always asked my guests this story or this question: what is your stay inspired story? And it could be anything that happened in your life or career that it really impacted you at any time in your life or career.
That's a great question.
Thank you.
I think, yeah, great question. I think what first comes to mind is when I was 14, I was very young. I had my first show, but it was opening for, I think I peaked early. It was opening for Kevin DeGraw. And,
good grief.
And Avril Lavigne at this.
Whoa, the double whammy.
In my hometown. I know, it was insane. I definitely peaked early, but and that was a super definitive moment for me because it was like, oh, I could do this, but I think on a more personal level, after that happened, I was about 15, 16 years old, and I started playing in bands in the Buffalo music scene and just trying to get my feet wet because I had obviously so much to learn. And I took like a job as a backup singer for a local soul singer who was like a local celebrity. Her name was Nikki Hicks. She's still with us. She's a nurse in Buffalo, New York. But
wow,
she was, brought the house down every single time. And I don't know what made her even like consider me, period. But one time she looked at me and she said so like decisively, she like looked me straight in the eye and she was like, your gift is your gift. My gift is my gift. And you can't compare the two. Period.
Oh, that's good advice.
And that was it. And it was just, she basically, just stay in your own lane. And I think she probably told me that because I admired her so much. I just wanted to be like her.
Yeah.
I wanted when you see somebody who has such raw God-given talent like that, it's just, you're just so in awe all the time. And having been in such close proximity, I just had, thought the world of her. And I think that she just wanted to make sure that, I stayed in my own lane. And I've told myself that on occasions I've been discouraged, and I've shared that line with many people.
That's nice. Well, it makes me think of times when I was a kid and and you'd listen to recordings of people singing, or you'd wait for them to be on television so you could see them singing, and you'd maybe try to emulate them or something. And it's so funny when the day comes as an artist that you stop doing that and you almost don't even know that you do it, but you just come into your own. And I just really always want to encourage people to, work really hard and work smart at what they want to achieve, and it takes a long time, don't you think, to find the music that's right for you and to find your sound. And, that, like you're saying, you get your feet wet, you don't know things yet. You're learning and you're hopefully getting to work with people that are, look at this woman. She was a regional hit. She's not a household name or anything. But she, what she said has stuck with you all this time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it has. And I still maintain contact with her, on social media and that, but just, you never know, especially when people are young, you never know like what could impact someone. And, it's cool.
It's so true. You have to be so responsible when you're an artist. I think, that's a fine line, isn't it? Like crossing with art, what's art and what's too far, and everybody has their own, everybody has their own reasons for why they do what they do, but you just don't know how it's going to impact somebody. And when you're in a famous spot, or in a place where people can look up to you, there's going to always be a lot of people looking up to you. And so that's cool that you got to work with somebody like that at such a young age. I think it would be fun if we got a bunch of us together and talked about all our gig stories, because we've all got some humdingers, right?
Oh, got some good ones. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be fun? Wouldn't that be a riot?
Oh, it would be amazing. Too, you got to always invite the bass player because they're the quiet ones, but they oftentimes have the best stories.
Yeah, I know. It's like they've seen it all. That's hilarious. So tell us a little bit about your 10-song project that you're currently working on and what your plans are with that.
Oh, I am so excited. I'm so excited. I mean, so essentially it's a catalog of 10 songs that I'll be releasing over the course of this next year,
Okay.
starting with Where You Began.
Yeah.
So they'll be released as singles, but it's essentially an album, of songs. So I'm super excited. They're very, very personal songs. I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to release them. Some of them were, the writing process maybe started five years ago. So they're a long time
Wow.
coming. Yeah, they're a long time coming. But I'm just really, really, really happy to be kind of letting them out to the world. And it's one of those things where, like, as an artist, I feel like they could positively impact, listeners. Somebody
Right.
out there, could potentially hear one of these songs and just really relate to it. And I
Yep.
think that that's the goal, right? Like, as an artist,
Absolutely.
you just want to live your truth and share, and hopefully it'll impact someone positively. So that's
Yeah.
what these songs are. I'm super proud of them. It's been a long time coming. It's been work because I co-produced with my engineer, Kyle
Yeah.
Worsba, who's from my hometown. And it's been a learning process for both of us. So it'll be fun. It'll be fun for us to have them out there.
And all the videos that people can go watch on your YouTube channel, are a lot of those videos in the studio. Were they in Nashville or were they in Buffalo or both?
The two that you mentioned earlier, Creep and Simple Man, were both recorded here.
Okay.
Yeah, Creep was done, shot and recorded at House of David studio on
Oh,
Music
yeah.
Row.
Yeah.
A super historic, awesome studio.
Yeah.
And Elvis recorded there, Dolly Parton, I mean, all of them.
Wow.
Yeah, and then Simple Man was recorded at a home studio in East Nashville. So
Okay. That's great. And I think I misspoke. Where You Began is not streaming till the 20th, right, of
correct.
February.
Yeah.
It was on out. Yeah.
So yeah, pre-saves start tomorrow. So I'll be posting all of that information on my social media accounts, and then the release actually is on Saturday. Yes.
Oh, that's going to be cool. So tell people too why the pre-save is so important. Why is the pre-save so important to an artist? Because a lot of people, they see that pre-save and they go, all right, what am I doing here? I don't understand what I'm supposed to do, and if you don't mind sharing that, that'd be great.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's just such a great marketing promotional tool for artists. I mean, it's so easy. Like, you just present a link that anybody can click, and you just click and then, follow that artist on Spotify. So when that song becomes available, it's there for you. So I really, in today's day and age, modern age, like, we're all doing so much of this promotion marketing on our own accord, and they're great tools to have.
Yeah. And I think too, the pre-saves are good because if you get a lot of pre-saves, it can help you get on certain playlists, which is what you
Oh, right.
want. You want
Yeah.
to
Of
be
course.
on as many playlists as you can.
Yep.
So that's great.
Right.
Well, I will make sure I pre-save it.
Yeah. Thank you. It's
You're
exciting.
you're welcome. So I always ask my guests this question as well. What is your power word or phrase?
Yeah. It's funny that you asked that. I've today's Ash Wednesday. I'm Catholic. It's
Yeah.
always Lent for me is always a time of, like, reflection and
Yes.
just that extra amount of mindfulness. And I was thinking the other day about, like, you always want to simplify kind of like your focus and make it as I like to anyway, make it as easy as possible. And so that's a great way to do it, is to have, like, a word. And I don't know if it's like a power word per se, but I thought that grace would be my
Oh,
theme for 2021.
oh yeah. We all need some, right?
Yeah. Yes. Myself included. Yes.
I love that. I love that you say that because, when I studied acting, the coach always said, well, you should have a word that you can say out loud. It's, like if you're getting frustrated or something in a scene. Well, I would be okay, and that's like, okay. But for real, if I'm in a situation and it's not feeling right or something to me, or, somebody's bumping up against me or me against them, I always say, Grace, Kirsti, Grace, because grace is a hard thing, as humans, we have a hard time with it.
It's true. It's true. And I'm so emotional. Oh, I'm so emotional.
I get emotional too.
Chill.
Now, wait a minute. What's your nationality? Are you German, or what's your nationality?
To my knowledge, I am actually all Polish.
Well, there's the emotion.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I only know that because if you met my parents, you'd understand. Oh my goodness. They're hysterical.
Well, my dad was Italian, so I have that's my excuse for everything.
Done.
Everything.
And that's all you have to say. And there's no need for any more explanation. Just done.
That's funny. So finish this sentence. The thing I'm most grateful for today is.
Okay. My goodness. Well, I think, first of all, I did see a salt truck. I not kidding. I'm in Nashville, Tennessee, and I saw a salt truck this morning. Grateful for that.
That's big here.
Yeah. Well, our weather, I mean, this ice storm is just so funny, because just short here, but my, weather like this in Ohio and New York,
it's nothing.
like you're going to work. Like it's not.
You're going to school. You're doing it all. You're going swimming.
Yeah, but here it's like you don't even play with it. God bless them all. No, always just kind of like the fundamentals, my loved ones, my family, my faith, just, all the, I could do without a lot of things, but I can't do without them.
Yeah, that's really true. It's kind of like at the end of the day, it's about being happy, and, you look around what's close, and who's close. And I think that's so true. And and I'll tell you what, if 2020 taught any of us anything, it was that. It was really getting clear and getting real about what's important. Well, where can listeners and viewers find you online? And we've talked about the pre-save, and that's a Spotify thing, right?
Right.
So where can they find everything else with all things Caitlin Koch?
Essentially, so I always have to do this because it's always like a thing, but so my name is Caitlin with a C.
Yeah.
Caitlin. And then Koch is actually Koch. So
there's the confusing part.
I know. My grandfather,
I get it. Hey, they just have to remember Caitlin, and when they see your face, they'll know it's you.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, but yeah, so essentially all of my social media platforms are all Caitlin Koch, and they'll be showcasing this information, but Spotify, all the songs that'll be released this year will be on Spotify and all digital streaming platforms everywhere. So Amazon Music, Apple Music, all of it.
Yeah, that's great. Well,
thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And I want to thank you for being such a great guest. It's always great to see you. And I look forward to getting together to write soon and create some more fun stuff, because we've had some fun. I remember the first time that we met and we wrote with Bill DeLuigi, and you open your mouth to sing. I'm like, oh, this is going to be good, because you're so fun it's so fun to hear you sing. And excuse me, that's always such a pleasure to write with somebody who's a great singer. So it's like the double gift,
No.
Great writer, great singer. Yay, we're there,
You've been a gift to me. I have to tell you, a young singer from my hometown asked me, like, I was very curious about Nashville, all of these things. They asked me like, how do you become like a good songwriter? And I think that she was kind of like referring to me as a potentially good songwriter. And I was like, whoa, I was like, pump your brakes. I was like, because I was like, I do not by any means like pretend to be a good songwriter. I was like, but the company I keep, okay, like I'm blessed. And I just want to shine a light your direction, because you have been such a blessing to me. I love writing songs with you. I mean, not that your track record speaks for itself, but you are an inspiration to those around you, and such a blessing to me. And I'm so glad that I'm emotional and I bring baggage, and then I can be like, Kirsti, please help. Like, yeah. And then when you make such positive things out of real life experiences,
well, thank you.
You helped me do that. So thank you so much.
Well, you're welcome. That's very nice of you to say that. And I really appreciate the kind words. That's great. Well, everybody, we have to say goodbye now to Caitlin Koch. And we hope that you're going to be checking everything out that she has out there on social media, because she's really, really an amazing artist and very unique. And I always love when people like Caitlin are getting their stuff out there. And I know really amazing things are going to happen for in 2021. So everybody stick around. We're going to be right back.